There are silences that speak louder than 1,000 words. There are glances that linger longer than they should, yet somehow they do. And there are small, seemingly harmless gestures that carry intentions rarely spoken aloud. But what happens when a married man begins to look at another woman differently? If you are that woman, this is not a video to judge or condemn. This isn't about scandal or betrayal. It's about understanding human behavior with emotional awareness. Often, desire doesn't stem from malice or betrayal. It comes from emptiness, from loneliness, from a lack of recognition. Understanding this compels us to look deeper into the subtle nuances hidden in human interactions. Routine has a way of wearing things down. What was once vibrant and passionate slowly becomes habit. Habit, when unaccompanied by emotional renewal, cools. Carl Jung wrote in Man and His Symbols, "What you resist persists. What you accept transforms." Many couples resist acknowledging that the bond between them is fading. In that emotional emptiness, when passion, recognition, and meaning are lacking, someone else may appear. It's not that he intentionally seeks another woman, but rather someone unknowingly fulfills what's missing in his life. A man rarely leaves home with a plan to form a connection elsewhere. What happens is subtle, natural, and deeply human. Casual conversation with a coworker may become the only moment in his day when he feels truly heard. A smile can make him feel seen. A single sentence may awaken emotions he no longer experiences at home. And that is where it begins. The signals don't arrive like explosions, they arrive like whispers, small changes in tone, gestures, or attention that seem innocent but leave a lingering feeling. Many women who experience this initially don't understand it, but their intuition senses something is different. Something inside them says, "This isn't normal, this isn't random." And then comes the question, what do I do with this? Am I overreacting, or is there something more? Am I part of an emotional fantasy he doesn't even consciously name? Jung explains in Psychology of the Unconscious that until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Recognizing these signs isn't about judging anyone, it's about taking control of your own emotional story. No one should become the emotional refuge of someone already committed elsewhere. Understanding the signs allows you to protect your emotional well-being and make conscious choices instead of being caught in someone else's unmet needs. The first sign often appears in his communication. His words subtly change. Polite greetings and casual conversations may soften into a slower, warmer tone, sometimes playful, sometimes tender. This change is rarely accidental. Men, often unconsciously, refine their language when they feel attraction. Their words begin to create a special emotional space, almost like a private bubble of connection. It's as if he is choosing you without saying it outright. He speaks to you differently because he perceives you differently. Carl Jung, in Ego and the Unconscious, suggested that human bonds often act as mirrors, reflecting repressed or unacknowledged parts of ourselves onto others. When a married man begins speaking from a more emotionally charged place, he may be projecting his unfulfilled needs, his desire to be seen, valued, and admired. Language becomes a tool for symbolic expression. Compliments are one key element. They may seem casual, "You look great today," or "the color suits you perfectly." But there's emotional weight behind them. It's not just what he says, it's how he says it. The gleam in his eyes, the pause after the words, the subtle anticipation of your response all convey meaning. These compliments are different from what he gives others. They are personal, exclusive, and symbolic. He highlights in you what he may be missing in his daily life. Maybe he no longer hears those words in his marriage. Perhaps he hasn't felt admired, desired, or appreciated for a long time. Without meaning to, you become his emotional mirror, reflecting what is absent elsewhere. Another sign is the frequency of contact. He starts finding reasons to reach out, even when unnecessary. He asks questions he could answer himself. He shares memes, songs, quotes, or small thoughts, anything to keep the line of communication open. Over time, these exchanges develop into a pattern, an emotional routine. But it goes deeper. The content of his messages often changes, moving from neutral or work-related topics to personal ones. He begins to share how his day went, ask about your thoughts, feelings, and preferences. Emotional intimacy begins to form, not from a single message, but through accumulation. Day by day, word by word, a subtle emotional bridge grows between you. He may confide in you about struggles in his marriage, conflicts at work, or feelings of being stuck in life. You listen because you care, but also because that trust draws you in. Even without physical contact, an emotional bond can form that carries deep weight. Jung wrote in The Dynamics of the Unconscious that there is no greater illusion than believing we can separate emotion from thought. When a man begins thinking of you as he writes, speaks, or reaches out emotionally, you already occupy a significant space in his mind. Even humor begins to change. Jokes may carry double meanings. He may use affectionate nicknames or develop a private language, a conspiratorial tone that makes the two of you feel like you share a secret code. These subtle shifts are not about overt seduction. They are emotional signals that can feel enchanting but also complicated. Understanding them is crucial. Some of the most dangerous forms of emotional attachment are born from unmet needs disguised as connection. Recognizing these signs is not about condemnation, it's about clarity. Just because a married man looks at you differently doesn't mean you must respond. It's about choice, choosing to protect yourself, choosing to understand where the attention is coming from, and choosing the role you want to play in your own life. Emotional awareness gives you the ability to navigate these situations consciously rather than being swept away by feelings. The changes are often subtle but consistent. His words carry more warmth. His tone becomes slower and more attentive. His attention becomes personal and exclusive. Compliments are emotionally charged. Messages arrive more frequently and with deeper content, and humor develops a private, intimate tone. He may project his unfulfilled needs onto you, consciously or unconsciously, making you a mirror for what's missing in his life. Over time, these small shifts form a unique emotional connection. Understanding these dynamics empowers you to act with awareness. Emotional attraction is natural, but so is the responsibility to protect your heart and boundaries. You can appreciate the connection without allowing it to compromise your integrity. The key is recognizing the intention behind the attention, the unmet needs that drive it, and the subtle ways in which emotional intimacy develops. Awareness allows you to navigate these complexities with clarity rather than confusion. In the end, the goal is not to judge, shame, or create guilt. It's to see clearly and act consciously. Emotional bonds can form quietly through words, gestures, attention, and tone. They can feel magical, drawing you in, but they also carry the potential for emotional pain if not understood. By paying attention, observing the signs, and understanding the psychology behind them, you maintain control over your own emotional life. You choose how to respond, whether to engage or step back, and how to protect your own heart. Some connections feel irresistible, but awareness allows you to navigate them without losing yourself. Recognizing the emotional patterns of a married man's desire, subtle changes in language, attention, compliments, frequency of contact, and humor gives you the insight to act consciously. You can maintain your boundaries while understanding the human complexity behind these behaviors. The most important choice is yours. to act with clarity, protect your emotional integrity, and consciously decide your place in the story. That kind of emotional complicity is powerful and also dangerous. It can create the illusion that something pure is forming when, in reality, an invisible boundary has been crossed, an emotional boundary that is very difficult to undo. At this point, it's crucial to pause and observe closely. Does he speak to you the same way he speaks to others? Or is his tone gentler, more constant, more emotionally attuned? Is he reaching out to you for simple reasons, or is he building something deeper? Does he make you feel special with his words? These are not questions to accuse him, but to raise awareness. Desire often enters not through the skin, but through words, through phrases that linger in the chest, through conversations that touch the soul. One of the most revealing signs is response time. When a married man begins replying quickly, even at times when he previously would not, it reflects more than politeness, it signals priority. He is placing you emotionally at the center of his attention. It is essential to notice this, not because it is your fault, but because you deserve clarity. You have the right to know whether you are becoming part of an emotional pattern that could leave lasting scars. You also deserve the choice to protect your peace before things become complicated. In these interactions, communication is more than just conversation. It is a symptom. It reflects a deep lack he may be projecting onto you. When a married man begins opening up emotionally to a woman who is not his wife, we are no longer dealing with mere attraction. We are witnessing a profound emotional transference. It starts with small details. He shares that he had a rough day, that he didn't sleep well, or that something is worrying him. These are soft confessions, often disguised as casual conversation, but behind them lies a fundamental need to be heard. Often, he no longer feels heard at home. There may be no space where he can be vulnerable without judgment. You become the woman who listens attentively, who responds with empathy, who offers kind words where he encounters criticism, routine, or indifference. In doing so, you enter not his physical world, but his emotional one. Carl Jung wrote in Modern Man in Search of a Soul that loneliness does not come from having no people around you, but from being unable to communicate the things that seem important to you. When a man feels he cannot speak to his partner about what truly matters, he seeks another channel. Often that channel is another woman, not because he wants to cheat, but because he needs to express what is inside him. Over time, this emotional opening deepens. It moves from sharing the events of his day to revealing his fears, childhood experiences, insecurities, and feelings of invisibility. He may confess that his life feels purposeless, that he questions the choices he has made, or wonders whether his marriage still holds meaning. You listen, perhaps because you recognize the same sense of loneliness. In that shared understanding, a dangerous intimacy forms. He begins to see you as his emotional refuge, the safe space where he can be himself without masks. This openness is not innocent. It carries weight and direction. He is not confiding in just anyone. He is confiding in you. He gives you a privileged place in his inner world, that of a confidant and emotional ally. He may say, "I've never told this to anyone," or "I feel different with you." While these words may seem flattering, they are signs of an emotional connection that has already strayed from its original path. You are no longer just a friend. You are becoming his emotional support, his escape. At this point, it's essential to pause and examine the role you are playing. Are you truly just a friend, or are you filling voids that aren't yours to fill? Jung explains in The Psychology of Transference that many relationships are born not from authentic love, but from projection. We do not see others as they are, we see them as symbols of what is missing or desired in ourselves. He may not be seeing you clearly, but an idealized version of what he feels is lacking in his life. This emotional openness can create an addictive connection. You begin to anticipate his messages, feel excited when he shares something personal, and slowly open your own world to him. Even without physical contact, you become deeply involved. Emotional intimacy is a sweet trap. It feels genuine, pure, and compelling. But it can be unfair because you are investing energy in someone who is already committed elsewhere. He may not be willing to leave his marriage, but he is willing to fill his unmet needs through you. It's not uncommon for him to pull away, contradict himself, or seem confused. That vulnerability stirs guilt because he knows he has crossed a line, even without physical involvement. He has created an emotional bond he cannot sustain without risking his current life. Recognizing this is critical, not to judge him, nor to blame yourself, but to protect your own heart. You deserve relationships in which you are freely chosen, not a secret escape. You deserve love with integrity, not borrowed intimacy. If a married man begins opening his soul to you, ask yourself, am I here to support him, or am I choosing him from a place of fullness? Am I allowing his emptiness to fill me, or am I engaging consciously from my own strength? Emotional openness is sacred. You deserve to share it with someone who is free to reciprocate without hiding, dividing themselves, or causing harm. It is not only what he says, it is why he says it to you. That why must be understood clearly before it becomes an invisible, painful bond. Time is another revealing factor. When a married man invests time intentionally and frequently in a woman who is not his wife, it signals more than casual interest. At first, it may seem innocent, extended conversations, coffee breaks, or messages outside of typical hours, but gradually, this becomes a habit. He rearranges routines, finds excuses to see you, extends breaks, or adjusts his schedule to create opportunities to connect. This quiet consistency carries emotional intention. Jung wrote, "Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart." When a man reshapes his time around another woman, he reveals where his emotional focus truly lies, even if he hasn't admitted it openly. Beyond time, the search for validation is a significant sign. He doesn't just want to be near you. He wants to feel desired by you. He asks if he looks good, whether his haircut suits him, or if you like his new clothes. These aren't random questions, they are attempts to please you, to feel seen and valued through your eyes. This is not harmless attention, it is a clear reflection of emotional need being projected onto you. Recognizing these signs is essential for your emotional protection. Emotional openness from a married man can feel flattering, even magical, but it comes with risks. Awareness allows you to make conscious choices, safeguard your peace, and understand the motivations behind his words and actions. You deserve connections with integrity, where attention and intimacy are freely and honestly shared without secrecy or divided loyalty. Sometimes he even changes small things based on what you've said. He adjusts his appearance, picks a song, reads a book, or adopts a habit he knows you like. He is no longer just being himself. He's shaping himself to enter your world. This transformation holds enormous emotional power because it creates a sense of belonging. He doesn't just desire you, he wants to feel desired by you. He seeks your approval to reaffirm his worth, attractiveness, and masculinity. While this can feel flattering, it is also a red flag. You are beginning to carry an emotional weight that should belong to his partner. Often, this emotional investment comes in the form of conversations without any real purpose. He checks in, asks how your day is, or sends messages just to maintain contact. If you don't reply quickly, he seems unsettled. This consistency isn't accidental, it reflects a desire to keep the emotional connection alive. Humor also becomes a tool. He sends jokes, memes, anecdotes, and playful messages to make you smile and think of him throughout the day. That subtle, constant presence builds an invisible emotional bond. Jung wrote in Symbols of Transformation that the meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there's any reaction, both are transformed. That is exactly what happens here. He changes his routine for you, and you begin shaping your emotions around him. Sometimes, this time investment shows up as helpfulness. He offers to drive you home, accompany you on errands, or make himself available in ways that seem sweet. But beneath that generosity lies intention. He wants to be present, to create connection. This intensifies when he begins showing subtle signs of jealousy. He may ask who you were with, whether someone messaged you, or notice your interactions with others. Even if he cannot demand your attention, the thought of someone else occupying the emotional space he has assigned to you unsettles him. This need for validation extends to how sensitive he is to your reactions. Compliment him and he lights up. Ignore him and he withdraws. His emotional world begins to orbit around your attention. This is not a trivial sign. It reveals that you have become an emotional center for him. Even without physical contact, this implies a powerful bond. You are occupying a space that once belonged to his partner. Daily validation, emotional presence, and affectionate reinforcement. It's important to consider what kind of time he offers you. Is it stolen time, fragmented time, or time colored by guilt? While it may feel flattering, it could indicate he is quietly building a parallel story. Time is love in action, and validation is desire turned into need. If he offers both without freedom or truth, you are not being chosen, you are being used emotionally, even unknowingly. You deserve a complete love, not pieces stolen from someone else's life, not validation that fills a void in another person. You deserve to be the priority, not an escape. After all the signals, the language, the time, the attention, and the emotional presence, ambiguity often appears. He may pull away, grow cold, or act differently, leaving you uncertain. This isn't uncommon. It reflects inner conflict. He loves the connection but fears the consequences. Guilt and fear make him contradictory. One day he is attentive and tender, the next distant. This emotional dance is not rejection but confusion, a reflection of unresolved feelings he cannot face. Jung noted in The Ego and the Unconscious that a happy life isn't achieved by eliminating conflict but by confronting it. Many men, however, avoid confronting their emotional conflict. They pull away instead of facing what they truly feel outside, the bounds of their commitments. You are left navigating the ambiguity, unsure whether to continue or walk away. Even without physical intimacy, something has been planted, a connection that begins to grow and can hurt when it breaks. This is why recognizing these signs is essential. It's not about judging him, nor is it about blaming yourself. It's about protecting your heart. Seeing that someone desires you doesn't mean you must reciprocate. Understanding the connection doesn't mean it is healthy. Feeling something doesn't obligate you to act. Your true power lies in emotional awareness, the ability to choose consciously, to ask whether he is choosing you or using you as an escape. Desire is one thing, integrity is another. You deserve to be part of a whole story, not a borrowed chapter. Jung wrote in The Psychology of Transference, only what is made conscious can be transformed. This is your opportunity to see these signs clearly, not with fear, not with judgment, but with clarity. You deserve relationships where you don't have to guess if someone loves you, where you don't rely on ambiguous signals to feel valued, and where you are not someone's emotional refuge because they lack courage to fix their life. You deserve more than intermittent attention or desire disguised as sweet words. You deserve a complete, honest, mature, and free love. Don't settle for being someone's escape. Be the destination for someone who is truly ready to arrive. Ask yourself, are you receiving love, or just crumbs of connection? Are you building a real bond or feeding an illusion? True love doesn't hide. It doesn't come in pieces, it arrives whole. And you deserve nothing less than what is whole. If this video helped you understand the subtle signs a married man may desire you, like, share, and subscribe for more insights on relationships, psychology, and emotional awareness. Comment below if you've experienced any of these signs or have thoughts to share. Hit the notification bell to stay updated with videos that empower you to protect your emotional well-being and make conscious choices in love.